This 83-year-old put a photo on Facebook and it caught the eye of one of the world's richest men. It was just a regular Facebook photo, not dissimilar to those that others post every day. In it, 83-year-old Adilwold smiled as she held flowers at a family wedding, with the message that idea subsequently received by her iPad may have come as a surprise that read, "Are you Ida Moreland?" And the query stood out for several reasons, not the least of which, because the center is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The man who asked the question was Asghar Patel, founder and non-executive chairman of logistics firm House of Patels. In the 2017 Forbes list of the top 100 Indian business owners in Arabian countries, he was placed at number 45. What's more, in 2013, the entrepreneur's fortune was valued at a cool $615,000, now living in Dubai. A 78-year-old Asghar is originally from India, and as it happens, he may have inherited his business news from his father, who once owned companies in Karachi and Mumbai. However, in 1947, while the future multimillionaire was just 6, his family's safety was put in jeopardy. The reason for the pearl was that on 8/15/1947 British rule in India, and it subsequently the country formerly known as British India divided into two, creating India and Pakistan. Many Muslims then relocated to Pakistan, although a large number of the Hindu population chose to remain in India, and the mass migration created massive unrest with roughly 1 million people thought to have died in the ensuing riots. Asghar's father was therefore worried about the welfare of his family and principal use for children. Asghar Rams on the bar and grill so, and he decided then that the best thing would be to try to move his relatives abroad and out of harm's way until the trouble had passed. And some friends. Asghar's father had once stayed at a guest house in the west end of Glass Island located on Willowbank Street. The accommodation frequently hosted international students and for which it was convenient due to its proximity to the University of Glasgow, and so Asghar's father's friends got in touch with the boarding house to see if they could take the 4 children. However, the owner was getting old and felt that such a responsibility would be too much for, so given that refusal she may have been amazed to answer the door soon after to those very siblings. Yes, the children's father had been so concerned for his offspring's welfare that he decided to send them across the world anyway, and with the kids right in front of her, the landlady came up with a solution. She would look after the eldest 2 boys Rams on it at a barn, while her niece took and cool some Asghar. Part of the reason that the kindly needs Greta Moreland agreed to the plan was because the 12-year-old girl was the same age as her daughter. Ida, this youngster was none other than Ida Moreland. She became when she married years later. It might appear far-fetched to think the parents would send their 4 children to the other side of the world with no guarantee of a place to stay, but the situation in India at the time had been so dire, however, that they may have felt that it was their only choice. Indeed, Ida said in a 2017 interview with the Daily Record, "When they came at first, we thought, how can any mom and dad send 4 kids like this to Scotland? But you could see it a bit more when you see all the horrible things that were happening in India and Pakistan, and in time the adopted brother and sister truly became part of the family." Asghar even called his parents mom and dad. I did explain to the Daily Record, however, that was quite embarrassing lots of times. My mom said to him, "Look Asghar, you've got your own mom, and she won't be pleased, so you better call us aunt and uncle." Furthermore, in the 5 years that Asghar lived with Ida, did they lead a normal family life? They vacationed down the coast in Asghar loved playing with the family dog Sparky. I don't remember. Coolsome got homesick. Wanted to go home, but Asghar would have lived here forever. He quickly became part of the family. In fact, the boy became so integrated into his new community that he couldn't remember his native tongue and was only able to speak the language of his adopted homeland. When his mom came over to visit, he had forgotten how to speak, and she couldn't speak English, so they just waved at each other, Ida recalled in an interview for television news station STV in 2017. And when the time came for Asghar to go back, he was reluctant to leave, Ida told the Daily Record. Although he loved his parents very much, when it was time for him to return home, he didn't want to go. He wanted to stay with us. It wasn't an easy decision, but he knew he had to leave to be with his own family. The last time that I just saw Asghar as a child and was on a platform in Glasgow train station. As they waved goodbye, it proved an incredibly upsetting occasion for everyone. We were heartbroken when he left, Ida told STV, adding, "Taking him to the train was dreadful then at first." Asghar stayed in touch via letters and cards on special occasions, like birthdays and Christmas, but eventually slipped away after a few years. Ida's family also moved house several times, and finally the estranged children lost track of each other soon. The cards dropped, but I often wondered where he ended up, Ida told the Daily Record. Little did she know that her beloved brother had actually been spending years trying to find her, and amazingly 60 years after they had parted, he recognized a picture over on Facebook at a family wedding and sent her a message. I couldn't believe he'd seen that one photograph. It was a miracle. Really, Ida said in an interview with STV, and once the connection had been re-established, it was as if the two had never been separated. It wasn't strange or awkward, and we chatted away like two old pals, Ida told the Daily Record. We finally saw each other again when he traveled to Scotland in August. His 2017, and while Oscar may be a multi-millionaire now, Ida doesn't think that the money has changed him. He's done so well for himself, and he's still such a genuine and lovely person, she said. Now Oscar, our plans to fly his long-lost sister out to Dubai to meet his family. It's just wonderful to have Oscar back in my life after so many years apart. The 83-year-old told the Daily Record.